Hello, YouTube. So I came across this in my Facebook feed. I don't usually say things about Facebook feeds or anything like that, but there's a gentleman named Charley Reese who is a columnist that is retiring, and this is his final column. I found it interesting, and it reads as follows. Let me get a good spot here. This is about as clear and easy to understand as it can be. The article below is completely neutral, neither anti-Republican or Democrat. Charley Reese, a retired reporter for the Orlando Sentinel, has hit the nail directly on the head, defining clearly who it is that, in the final analysis, must assume responsibility for the judgments made that impact each one of us every day. It's a short but good read, worth the time, worth remembering. Hopefully, it's a short video, right? 545 versus 300 million people by Charley Reese. Make sure I'm not blocking this guy. Politicians are the only people in the world who create problems and then campaign against them. Have you ever wondered if both the Democrats and Republicans are against deficits? Why do we have deficits? Have you ever wondered if all the politicians are against inflation and high taxes? Why do we have inflation and high taxes? You and I do not propose a federal budget. The president does. You and I do not have the constitutional authority to vote on appropriations. The House of Representatives does. You and I don't write the tax code. Congress does. You and I don't set fiscal policy. Congress does. You and I don't control monetary policy. The Federal Reserve Bank does. 100 senators, 435 congressmen, 1 president, and 9 Supreme Court justices equates to 545 human beings out of the 300 million who are directly, legally, morally, and individually responsible for the domestic problems that plague this country, and they're failing. That's my own ad. I excluded the members of the Federal Reserve Board because that problem was created by the Congress. In 1913, Congress delegated its constitutional duty to provide a sound currency to federally chartered but private central bank. I excluded all the special interests and lobbyists for a sound reason. They have no legal authority. They have no ability to coerce a senator, a congressman, or a president to do one cotton-picking thing. I might add, unless they have the money. Hold on. And then he says, I don't care if they offer a politician $1 million in cash. The politician has the power to accept or reject it, no matter what the lobbyist promises. It is the legislator's responsibility to determine how he votes. Those 545 human beings spend much of their energy convincing you that what they did is not their fault. They cooperate in this common con regardless of party. What separates a politician from a normal human being is an excessive amount of gall. No normal human being would have the gall of a speaker who stood up and criticized the president for creating deficits. The president can only propose a budget. He cannot force the Congress to accept it. The Constitution, which is the supreme law of the land, gives sole responsibility to the House of Representatives for originating and approving appropriations and taxes. Who is the Speaker of the House? John Boehner. I think I said his name right, I'm not sure. Boehner. He is the leader of the majority party. He and fellow House members, not the president, can approve any budget they want. If the president vetoes it, they can pass it over his veto if they agree to. The House has passed a budget, but the Senate has not approved a budget in over 3 years. For years. The president's proposed budgets have gotten almost unanimous rejections in the Senate in that time. It seems inconceivable that a nation of 300 million cannot replace 545 people who stand convicted by present facts of incompetence and irresponsibility. I can't think of a single domestic problem that is not traceable directly to those 545 people. When you fully grasp the plain truth that 545 people exercise the power of the federal government, then it must follow that what exists is what they want to exist, not what the voting public wants. If the tax code is unfair, it's because they want it unfair. If the budget is in the red, it's because they want it in the red. If the Army and Marines are in Iraq and Afghanistan, it's because they want them in Iraq and Afghanistan. If they do not receive Social Security but are on an elite retirement plan, not available to the people, it's because they want it that way. And might I add, I did a article like 12, 13 years ago. There was a senator, congressman, whatever. He got thrown in jail for like 15 years, and he received his full couple $1 million, whatever it was, pension and retirement plan. While in jail, he still drew a check. He's a criminal. He shouldn't get anything. If they do not, I already said the Social Security part, right? They're on an elite retirement plan, not available to the people. It's because they want it that way. There are no insoluble government problems. Do not let these 545 people shift the blame to bureaucrats, whom they hire and whose jobs they can abolish, to lobbyists whose gifts and advice they can reject, to regulators to whom they give the power to regulate and from whom they can take this power. Above all, do not let them con you into the belief that there exist disembodied mystical forces like the economy, inflation, or politics that prevent them from doing what they take an oath to do. Those 545 people, and they alone, are responsible. They and they alone have the power. Yet they choose not to follow through with their sworn duties. They and they alone should be held accountable by the people who are their bosses. Provided the voters have the gumption to manage their own employees, we should vote all of them out of office and clean up their mess. But no, we can't do that. Sorry. Charley Reese is a former columnist of the Orlando Sentinel newspaper. What you do with this article now that you have read it is up to you. This might be funny if it weren't so true. Be sure to read all the way to the end. Be sure to read all the way to the end. Crap. Anyway, he wrote a poem. And here's the poem. Tax his land, tax his bed, tax the table at which he's fed. Tax his tractor, tax his mule. Teach him taxes are the rule. Tax his work, tax his pay. He works for peanuts anyway. Tax his cow, tax his goat. Tax his pants, tax his coat. Tax his ties, tax his shirt, tax his work, tax his dirt. Tax his tobacco, tax his drink, tax him if he tries to think. Tax his cigars, tax his beers. If he cries, tax his tears. Tax his car, tax his gas. Find other ways to tax his ass. Tax all he has, then let him know that you won't be done till he has no dough. When he screams and hollers, then tax him some more. Tax him till he's good and sore. Then tax his coffin, tax his grave. Tax the sod in which he's laid. Put these words upon his tomb. Taxes drove me to my doom. When he's gone, do not relax. It's time to apply the inheritance tax, accounts receivable tax, building permit tax, CDL license tax, cigarette tax, corporate income tax, dog license tax, excise taxes, federal income tax, federal unemployment tax, fishing license tax, food license tax, fuel permit tax, gasoline tax, currently at 44 3/4 cents per gallon, gross receipts tax, hunting license tax, inheritance tax, inventory tax, IRS interest charges, IRS penalties, tax on top of a tax, liquor tax, luxury taxes, marriage license tax, Medicare tax, personal property tax, real estate tax, service charge tax, Social Security tax, road usage tax, recreational vehicle tax, sales tax, school tax, state income tax, state unemployment tax, telephone federal excise tax, telephone federal universal service fee tax, telephone federal state and local surcharge taxes, telephone minimum usage surcharge tax, telephone recurring and non-recurring charges tax, telephone state and local tax, telephone usage charge tax, utility taxes, vehicle license registration tax, vehicle sales tax, watercraft registration tax, well permit tax, workers' compensation tax. Might I myself add road taxes? Did he say that in there? Road taxes from who? The federal government. And then a tax on top of the tax if you're in like Kentucky and New York and a few other states. Still think this is funny? I don't. I didn't think it was funny in the first place. Not one of these taxes existed 100 years ago, and our nation was the most prosperous in the world. We had absolutely no national debt, had the largest middle class in the world, and mom stayed home to raise the kids. What the heck happened? Can you spell politicians? I can't. Needless to say, we're being taxed to death. That's the end of that article. We're taxed more now than we were when we left the Brits. And our taxes on our automobiles aren't the same, but, you know, and our wonderful president and politicians are proposing more taxes on small businesses and so many more taxes on everything else. So, it's ridiculous, people. Think we can do something about it? Vote every single one of these people out of office and get some real people in there. There's very few that actually try to stick with what they need to be sticking with. Have a blessed day.